If you're listening to this, there is a good chance you run something, a business, a side hustle, a freelance practice, something where the buck stops with you. And today I want to talk about something that nobody in the entrepreneurship space is being honest about. Most of us didn't start a business from a place of clarity. We started from a place of escape. Not all of us, but more of us then will admit it. And what happens when you build something from escape rather than alignment is the things you were escaping moves into the business with you. Same emotional loops, different vehicle. I'm going to tell you about how I know this because I did it across multiple ventures, and it took me longer than I'd like to admit to see it. It's difficult, and accepting it is one of my first steps towards it. But let me walk you through how this plays out. Because if you are a founder between 25 and 38 years old, there is a high chance one of these sounds familiar to you. Version 1, the control escape. You couldn't handle having a boss. Not because you're smarter than them. Maybe you are. Maybe you're not. But because being told what to do triggered something deep, a need for control, a need to prove you can do it your way. So you started your business and now you can't delegate. You micromanage. You work 16 hours a day because letting go someone else handle something feels like losing control. The loop followed you. It just changed its costume this time. Let me give an example of version 2. The validation escape. You needed people to see you as successful. The job title wasn't impressive enough. The salary wasn't high enough to post about. So you built something you could point at. I'm a founder. I am building something. And that validation hits from that LinkedIn, from family, from friends, but it fades. So you need the next milestone, the next launch, the next number to share. And underneath, the same emptiness. Because the validation was never about the business, it was about filling a gap your system created long before your first venture. Let me give you an example of version 3, the avoidance escape. This one is quieter. You started your business because sitting still was unbearable. Not because you had a burning idea, but because doing nothing felt like dying. The business gave you a motion, a direction, a reason to not sit with yourself. And now you can't stop. Can't take a vacation without checking your phone every hour. Can't sit through a movie without your mind racing to next task. Because the moment you stop, the things you've been running from catches up. And I've been all three of these I've gone through at different points, sometimes simultaneously, and the patterns didn't break when I launched the next business. It didn't break when revenue hit a certain number. It didn't break when I got the external validation I thought I wanted. It broke when I saw the loop, saw that pattern again and again hidden in each of these businesses. Let me tell you something how it shows up in business decision itself. You'll be able to pinpoint it much more better. I already gave you an emotional context of it. Now, here's where this gets practical because it's not just about feelings. Your emotional loops is making your business decisions. Let me give you example from my own life and from people I work with. The deal you said yes to that you knew was wrong, that you knew you don't know much about, then think from a perspective that you learn across, thought from a perspective as an escape. The partnership you stayed in 6 months too long is another example of it. The underlining loop is the fixer loop there, which couldn't handle being the one who walks away. The team member you didn't fire for a year because confrontation triggers your peacekeeping patterns. And you rather absorb the damage than face that conversation. The pricing you set too low because your imposter loop told you that changing more would expose you as someone who doesn't deserve it. Every place or the other, there is some form or the loop or pattern or the other. Every one of these is a business decisions, and every one of them was made by the loop, not by you. Many of these things I discuss, and people ask me, isn't that a normal identity of everyone? It's we have free will to choose. But the irony part is the free will is not existing there. It's more like emotions are choosing on your behalf. But then someone asked me this too, that isn't it correct that your emotion decides? Isn't it part of you? Yes, it is part of you. But it's driving the decision in full angle. What happens is you are gauging scenarios from inside the tunnel and you don't observe it using an observer eyes from outside the tunnel. When you observe it from outside, the clarity you get is on a different level. The decisions you make is on a different level. Then you add your emotions to that factor, and then you drive that goal to outcome, and that is when you achieve what you always wanted. You foresee a goal, you see a direction, you hit and hammer and go directly in that straight line, and focus is still in the same energy direction. When I look at my own ventures, the real estate business in Dubai, the hospitality work in Alibag and Igatpuri, reset entropy itself. I can trace specific decisions back to specific emotional patterns. Deals I chased because my achiever loop needed motion. Startups I've invested in because of one of the loops like achiever loops. One of the loops that I knew it was wrong, but I still did it. It was like an escape loop there. Partnership I maintained because my system confused being needed with being valued. Pricing I undercut because somewhere deep down I wasn't sure my work was worth what I was charging. And it repeated through many cycles, many different loops, many different patterns in many different businesses. The loop doesn't care what industry you are in. It doesn't care how smart your strategy is. It runs underneath strategy, and it will quietly sabotage every smart move you make until you see it. Tuesday, I shared my personal story, the one podcast before this, and about how my emotional patterns were destroying my relationship. Today, I want to talk about how that plays are specifically, especially for entrepreneurs. Because there's a version of this that is unique to people who runs things. Your partner tells you that you're never present. Giving you an example. And they are right. Not because you don't love them, because your nervous system is still at work even when your body is at home. I was reading one of these books a few days back, and in that the topic of presence came into picture. Listening came into picture. And it said that it is not only hearing it, it's a mixture of seeing, hearing, and feeling, which comes from the emotion heart perspective. So the Chinese word for that is eyes, ears, heart. I think emotion was the fourth aspect of it. And the whole thing is comprised of as listening, and listening part is associated to the presence. And when we are in this worked up zone, worked up high intense nervous system, which is on fire 24/7 around a topic, around a work, around thinking, overthinking, our presence is never existing. Our listening is quite not so listening. And you're sitting at a diner, but your mind is running tomorrow's number. You are in bed, but you're drafting email in your head. Your body showed up, your emotional system didn't. This is one of the things which I truly believe, and I truly say to many of the people, aside from the reset entropy task, is women are something of a different level of human being, and they are, you can say, one of the most highest creation possible. The feelings and the intuition they understand, and when they tell you, they tell to men especially, it is coming from somewhere. Sometimes you just have to listen to what they say, and it will solve a lot of problems. I have faced many issues similar to that in my life, and I've started listening to it, and many of my loops got cured from there. Listening factor was one of it, presence was one of it. They understand this somehow. I'm using the term somehow, but it's the electromagnetic field which they have with incorporate with their emotional senses is so high that they can understand all of this, they can feel all of this. But for men, it's a little difficult to gauge that on our own. So when that woman tells you that your presence is not there, listen to it. It's a very important awakening for you to follow. And here's what makes it worse for entrepreneurs, especially you can justify it. I'm building something, I require sacrifice. They should understand, and that justification feels true because it has your emotional backing to it, because it is partially true. Building something does require sacrifice, but the loop uses that truth as a shield. It hides behind the legitimate demands of entrepreneurship to avoid dealing with the fact that your emotional patterns was running long before the business existed. It's like a magic show of a card hiding behind deceiveness again and again and again. It's just changing its appearance from front, but the card still exists in the end, and it just until you see it. But until you see it is comes very late in life. That's why it's very important to see this pattern at initial stages of our life, because then only we will be able to connect to our true self and align our life to that true goal that we are supposed to do. The loneliness of being a founder is real, but some of that loneliness is manufactured by your loop, by the part of you that believes asking for help is weakness, by the part that can't let anyone see behind the image, by the part that would rather carry everything alone than admit you don't have it figured out. And I failed to see in one of the founders very recently, and this was the aspect with that particular founder. And in the end, what happened? All the money that was raised is down the drain. Apparently, the one thing that his expertise was in one field, after raising all the funds, he overlooked the basic criteria, the basic challenges, with zero accountability in picture, with zero pre-working done on that picture, and lost all the money to that factor. I have a WhatsApp community full of entrepreneurs who are starting to say these things out loud, some for the first time, and the relief on the other side of that honesty is something I wish I could bottle, because most founders have never had a space where being stuck isn't a failure, it's the starting point. It is the emotional cost. Monday we talked about the financial cost about it, how your loop leaks into your spending patterns. Wednesday was about the relationship factor. Today we went deeper into how that loop specifically runs your business decisions and your partnerships. Friday is one I've been building towards all week, and is the one most entrepreneurs ignore until they can't anymore, which is the health factor. So, physical cost of running a loop for years. What happens to your body when your nervous system never fully rests? Why founder in their early 30s are showing up with health issues that shouldn't arrive until their 50s? And why no amount of gym time fixes a body that's being consumed by an emotional pattern running 24/7? That episode is going to be on the YouTube video, on my YouTube channel. I'll put the description in the show note. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss on that content as well. So if anything I said today made you pause if you recognized yourself in the control escape, the validation escape, or the avoidance escape. Here's what I want you to do: go to my Instagram at Reset Entropy. There is a pinned post there of find the entropy code where you have to pick two options. It's a You can check the reel also, there's a carousel also, both are pinned on the profile. Two picks, you pick who you are and what drains you. Only two things. That gives you a two character code. DM it to me. I'll send you your full loop profile. The patterns, the triggers, how it leaks into your money, your relationships, your health, your business decisions, your investing tactics, everything. All this loop is just connected to that one code itself. Every single person who's done this has sent me the same message. How do I know? How do I break this? How do I know? How do I break this? Because I have sat across from enough entrepreneurs to see the same 16 pattern on repeat, and I have lived enough of them myself to know what they feel like from the inside. If you want to go deeper than that, you can DM me. I run a free live masterclass called Decode My Loop, or generally nowadays I prefer taking a one-on-one call to understand the exact start point of this loops, where it starts from in your life, and pathway to move ahead. I walk you through this full entire framework on how the loops form, the three things that are the secrets that run everything in this world, literally everything, and how loop formation happens from there, how they operate, how to start seeing them in real time, and link will be also down in the show notes. But one question to sit with before this week ends is: your body has been keeping score of every unprocessed emotion, every suppressed reaction, every night of broken sleep. What is it trying to tell you that you've been too busy to hear? I'll see you on Thursday.